Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Boy, and today we're doing another Anime Defenders video. The last one was so positively received, and I want to thank you guys so much for it. Like, I got like 500 views in like one day, and that is insane. So I want to thank you guys for that, and yeah, I just want to thank you guys for that. So today, our video is on the topic of spirits right here behind me. So I've seen a couple YouTubers make a spirit tier list, except some of them seem a little off to me. So I'm gonna make one of my own opinion. And I mean, you guys can go in the comments. You can criticize mine. I'm all open to change it. But yeah, let's get into it. So if you don't know what the spirits do in Anime Defenders, basically you summon one for your unit, and it adds a secret buff to them. And there's a whole bunch of different ones you can get, with the rarest being the True Spirit at 0.3%. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, here in my tier list, we're gonna go with the Golden Spirit here. So, what the Golden Spirit does, if I go back to Roblox here, Golden Spirit, 18.5% increases the money gained by a unit by 20%. So, you may be thinking, this is a pretty weak trait. I don't see much use for it other than farm units. Of course, it's really good for farm units, but I'm gonna have to put it in A tier overall. If it was just for farm, I'd put it in S, right? But it's so good that it's just A tier on its own. So the Golden Spirit is actually better than Midas Touch alone. So yeah, that's why it's A generally and S for farm units, because it is a crazy amount of money buff. I mean, when every time I've rolled for my Pink Rockstar, I ended up with Light Spirit, which is also a really good one. I'll get into later. And then on my Pink Demon Mage, I just haven't rolled on her that much. But yeah, I think Golden Spirit's really solid. On the next one, Arcane Spirit. This one, I think, is a little bit overhyped. Arcane Spirit, when attacking shielded enemies, ignores shields and directly damages health/armor. 16% chance for that one. So, I mean, for the percent chance, it's good, right? But, I mean, getting through like one or two or three shields isn't that big of a deal when you have like multi hit Guts who's doing like 8 hits per attack, or you have bleed units, or you have burn units. So honestly, shield and armor aren't that big of a problem because of the latest secrets in the new meta in the game. So I mean, if you're rocking Gojo, if you're rocking Igris, yeah, sure, it's a great one on them. But there are also way better ones for them down the list. So honestly, Arcane going in B, because it's not completely useless, but also, I mean, it's only good on some units. Next up, I think we got the Crimson Spirit. Um, the spirit's just goaded. I agree with this is one of the best spirits, just straight up. Increases burn/bleed damage inflicted to enemies by 50%. This is only a 12% chance, guys. This is a crazy buff for the chance that you get. So, right now, for example, right on my Almighty Natsu that I got in the last video, bro does about, I think 70k on max, not including burn, right? So, and then you add his base burn, and then I have the Crimson Spirit, so you add it by 50%. That's almost like 200% of his main damage. It's almost like 200% damage. It's just a free 50% damage increase. It is crazy. And then also there's bleed units. So, I mean, I don't really have a good bleed unit, but I mean, I do have a Sukuna around here somewhere. I got a Almighty Sukuna, and I got that Crimson Spirit. That's a 50% buff to his bleed. And if you also got the new Demon Overlord secret, who buffs bleed by 50%, you can see where I'm going with this. 100% bleed buff for Sukuna, and guess what? If you're running the Demon Overlord with other people, it also stacks. So you can have a 250% buff on your Almighty Sukuna, and that is just insane. Like, actually broken. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they nerfed it, but almost I might make an S plus for that one. Okay, next one. We got the Galactic Spirit. This one's really good. Increases units' damage by range by 5%, critical chance by 20, and reduces cooldown by 5%. And so some people think reducing cooldown by 5% is a bad thing, but you're reducing the amount of the cooldown, so you're making it attack quicker. So this one's a really good spirit on literally any unit. I have it on my guts right now because he needs crit chance, but yeah. This one I also think deserves S tier just because it's literally good on every unit, and you can't argue that. And you may be saying, oh, what about farm units? Think about it. 5% cooldown on their ability. Isn't that horrible? Plus the 20% range. I mean, that's still not a horrible buff on your farm, but you'll probably get golden before you get galactic anyway. Next up, we got the Dark Spirit. Increases range by 30% and reduces cooldown by 15, but decreases damage by 30. Honestly, I don't even know why they added this one in the game. I mean, I can see what they're going for. They're going for, like, if you have an ice dragon, or if you have a pink demon mage, which is like the only two cases where this is good. Other than that, if you're throwing this on a Gojo, you are trolling your entire life. Because the 30% damage is nowhere close to near the advantage that you get from the 30% range and the 15% cooldown. I mean, maybe in Hall of Mirrors, if you have a Gojo and you have enough stuff to buff him back, maybe it's valuable. But it's very, very specific, and it's literally only good on Pink Demon Mage, and then there's Golden right here, which is better. So yeah. Next one. We got, I think it's Ice Spirit. Increase slow/stun duration on enemies by 30%, and this one is a 7% chance. So this one I think is really good because again, it's for your support units or even some like attack units that deal damage, like Gojo. Gojo slows, is full AoE, and does a crap ton of damage. And if you increase that slow by 30%, he's basically a support and your top DPS at the same time. And even on Ice Dragon Mage or other units that stun, I mean, just a really solid support trait if you want it. But the good thing about the support options is there's also other options that are pretty good as well. So I'm going to be throwing this one into A. Yeah, nah, I'm going to drop it down to high B tier actually. Because the only reason is it's not that useful on all the units, and also sometimes there's better options for that unit. So the slow stun, it's not that big of a deal most of the time, especially if you're doing enough damage to like 1 or 2 shot everything. But yeah, it's definitely worth it if you're going for like a leaderboard run. Very useful. Next one, Fire Spirit. Every sixth attack applies a burn, dealing 60% of the unit's damage over 3 seconds. Stacks with other burns. So this was a 6.5% chance. We're getting a little bit rarer here. This one I think is really solid. People are kind of sleeping on this one, I've noticed, just a little bit, because people are like, oh, it's every 6th attack. But when I had this on my Sun Wu for a while, I realized that if it's a multi-attack, I'm pretty sure it applies the burn on the multi-attack. But the only downside to that is it's only how much damage that singular multi-attack does. So, I mean, if it applied the full damage of the multi-attack, then it'd be absolutely S tier. But, I mean, if you have a unit that does 5 multi-attack, and then you hit that, you hit like a crit or something, you're doing like a good, let's say you crit for 10k, you're doing 6,000 burn damage, which, I mean, isn't horrible. But also, you could put it on like Igris, and you drop your nuke on the 6th attack, and that's a lot of damage. I mean, they could definitely buff this one, but right now I think it's solid B. There's definitely better DPS options out there, like these two at the top. But yeah, if they improve it slightly, could be a lot better. Next up, we got the Crystal Spirit. Increases damage dealt to bosses by 50%, 5.5% chance to get it. This one is, I would argue, top A tier here, simply because you're running Hall of Mirrors or Tower Eternity or leaderboard runs. This is the GOAT of traits on your main carry DPS right here. It is really solid for those game modes specifically, but if you're playing anything else, it's kind of useless. And you could debatably say that some of these other later ones are harder to get, but also apply the same amount of value in all game modes rather than just those couple ones. But if you throw this on a high damage um, unit and you're just going through Tower of Eternity and you get to a really hard level that you can't beat, throw on the Crystal Spirit, you're solid. Next up, we got the Earth Spirit. Stuns all enemies by pinning them to the ground for 4 seconds. Has a 30-second cooldown for 5%. Now, the Earth Spirit, I'm going to say, is absolute trash. Okay? Now, you may be thinking, but it's a 4-second stun. And I'm like, bruh, you can get like a 4-second freeze way quicker with one unit rather than throwing this on, I don't know, a DPS unit where you could have a way better spirit on them and be dealing more damage rather than wasting your time on a stun that is only effective for like 1/7 of the cooldown. So yeah, I really think if they buff the Earth Spirit, maybe if it stacks with other stuns, that'd be crazy. Because then you could do like a freeze into this stun into like something else when the cooldown reset. Yeah, right now I'd say it's hot garbage. I think better than the Dark Spirit because this one's actually like real garbage. You know what? I'll move it up to C because it doesn't even deserve to be on the same tier as that one. But yeah, let's move it on. Sacred Spirit deals 30% more damage when no other units are within its range. This one is a 4% chance. So the Sacred Spirit, I'd say, is a very interesting spirit. So I actually rocked this one for a while, and I learned a cool fact about it. One thing that you may not know about the Sacred Spirit is that if you place a unit with relatively small starting range, and you have a unit just outside that starting range, you can upgrade your unit, and the range gets bigger, and the other unit is in the range, but the buff doesn't go away. Because it only, if you place a unit before the current range, it doesn't count. They may have fixed this. This was on day one, but I use that for a lot of portals just to solo them by myself. So if that's still in the game, and you can play it properly, and you kind of got a bad range stat, I'd say it's a solid B. I'd say it's the top B. But again, if you're playing with other people who don't know your plan, it's really frustrating to work around. But there you go. You learned a fact about the Sacred Spirit. You might have already knew that, but like, it's cool to know anyway. Anyways, up to the next one, the Light Spirit reduces the placement and the upgrade cost of the unit by 15%. This one is 3.5% chance. So the Light Spirit is one of my favorites. Wait, it's not on here. Well, you know what? It's alright. I put it in honorary A tier. I put the Light Spirit probably top at A tier. Except for one thing. The Light Spirit doesn't actually work fully right now. So right now it only reduces the upgrade cost by 15%, which is pretty huge if you think about it. Because if I look at my units right here, I actually rock the Light Spirit on my farm, so it's really easy to get Pink Rockstar upgraded early, and I have it on my Almighty Legion Veteran. So once I fix the placement cost thing, I'll have a crazy early game, and then you know what? I can just max out my Rockstar, and then I go into the good units. That's kind of my strategy. But yeah, I think the Light Spirit's really good, but it is a little too rare to get in my opinion. I think there are definitely better ones that could be rarer, like the Crimson Spirit could maybe be rare at all. But I'm not gonna complain if it put them one of the most broken spirits in like 12% chance. But yeah, on to the next one, the Storm Spirit. Oh wait, no, I missed one. The Mirror Spirit. Every fifth attack, the unit enters a frenzy, reducing cooldowns by 35% for 8 seconds. Has a 15% cooldown. For a 15-second cooldown for 2% chance. So this is when we start getting a little bit crazy here. So this one I've never actually used, but I would put it in S tier from how it sounds. So it's every fifth attack. Again, multi-hits work, so it's just a better Fire Spirit. So if you have a multi-hit, I don't know, Shadow Dragon, first placement, he does one attack, he's in that frenzy for 8 seconds. Then he's just spamming attacks, carries you early game, really good. and then only a 15-second cooldown. And that cooldown goes down while you're in that frenzy. So basically, you're only waiting 7 seconds for each frenzy. So, I mean, it's a really good, like 35% is not little. This Dark Spirit, which takes 30% of your damage, only gives you 15% SPA for that 30% damage loss. So, this one's really good. On to the next one, we got the Storm Spirit. Decrease units cooldown by 25% for a 1.5% chance. This one, I'd say, yeah, it's probably A. It's kind of just a worse version of the Mirror Spirit, though, because, I mean, it is forever. You know what? I'll bump it up because it's just a constant buff, which is kind of broken. Again, 25% is not a little percent. That is kind of crazy if you think about it. But, yeah. But SPA, anything that reduces SPA, very good, except for the Dark Spirit, utter garbage. But yeah, on to the next one. We got the Enchanted Spirit. Has a 10% chance to summon a fallen enemy to fight for you with 25% of his original HP for a 1% chance. Just get Sung Jin Woo. Right here. This is just Sung Jin Woo's passive. I'm not sure if you can see the chances here. I don't think you can, but no. I'm pretty sure Sung Jin Woo has like a 50%. I don't know exactly the numbers, but he also summons. I mean, if the percentage HP is higher than Sung Jin Woo's, sure, go ahead. It's like A tier. But, I mean, do you really need this that badly on a different unit? You could just get a Sung Jin Woo. So, I mean, I'm going to throw it into B. Yeah, I'm going to throw it in B. You know what? I'll bump it up to A just because Sung Jin Woo's passive is really good because it hits airs. But, yeah, that one's not the greatest for the rarity. Next one up. Divine Spirit. Inflicts confused on enemies every 30 seconds, causing them to walk backwards. For a 0.7% chance. Yeah, to roll it, yeah. I don't know how far they walk back. That's my issue with it. Is if I had gameplay of it, I could make a better analysis. There's probably another tier list out there that has used all of them before and can actually properly rate them. But from what it sounds like, this is an S tier to me. Depends on, again, it's your entire unit's range. So if you're rocking a dragon, mage, wizard, I forget his name when evolved. Dragon Wizard, the new best unit in the game. He has a huge range. Same with Gojo, same with Igris, same with basically any secret in the game, and even some mythics too. If you're rocking one of those with this, and you have that huge range, you're gonna be sending people back. I don't know. You're gonna be sending a lot of people back, which gives you more value than if you just have a short range. But, yeah, I might try to figure out how far they walk back so I can make a better analysis. But for now, we're just going to leave it at that. And then the True Spirit. I will go read it quick. True Spirit. The unit deals an additional 5% damage for each enemy within its range, up to a maximum of 75% increased damage with a 0.3. This is just insane. Like, I'm literally going to add a S plus tier because it's goated. It's literally goated. This is like, this is S plus plus plus. You know what? It is that good. Again, most units in this game have a pretty chunky range, and in certain maps, your range can fill up really quickly, and you only need, I think you only need like 15 units for you to max out to that 75% damage. You know what? Crimson also belongs up there. But yeah, the Spirit is just broken. If you roll it on a support unit, I'm sorry. But if you roll it on anything else, you're just going to take it. Because you had to 50% to bosses was its own Spirit at 4%. This is 75% to everything in your range. This is just crazy. Anyways, if you guys have your own opinions, I will be making this linking this in the bottom of the description. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And also go in the comments and tell me what's wrong with my tier list. Tell me what you would change. Tell me if you know how far they walk back. with the divine spirit. I just want to hear you guys' input, and this is Drac Boy signing off.